There's some subtle differences with the way we're looking at this, but there's a ton of overlap. I sit here and listen to a lot of what you've had to say about the Aiyuk situation, and I nod my head. I agree. I'm more in a hypothetical space of just saying, hey, 49ers, don't do this. I wouldn't do this if I were you. Now, they're having experiences that I'm not having. I'm not bothered if Brandon Aiyuk goes out there and bro hugs Kyle Shanahan in the middle of the field. Maybe he is.
Oh, it seems like he is bothered by that.
So I fully understand and trust, same way Nick Bosa said, I trust Kyle and John to make the best decision in the best moment. It's clearly a miscalculation that this is happening in August. So that's already mistake number one. And knowing what I know, which is not all of it by any stretch, but knowing what we've been told, if I were the 49ers, there's no conversation to even have here.
Yeah, they should have taken that tack about 2 months ago, but they didn't. And they allowed him to explore a trade. And when he makes his trade request, that was the line of demarcation where I would have said, no, we're not interested in trading you. You know, we shopped you before the draft, and now we're not going to trade you. So we fully expect you to come to camp, be a part of this team, and wear number 11 and be our starting X receiver. End of conversation. And if you want to get back to the table and work on this extension, we would love that. We're pretty far apart. Maybe we can negotiate and find a spot that works for both of us, but unequivocally, we are not going to be trading you. But they didn't do that, and so they opened Pandora's box, and here we are on August 7th, and now we continue to bat around. Is it Pittsburgh at the 1 yard line? Yeah. Did New England have a deal in place? Where's Cleveland and all this? They made their own bed, and I don't think that now you can shut Pandora's box.
Well, it's interesting that you said that they should have done this months ago. My perception is that they did, and that this was the plan, and now they're backing off of the plan because they're getting more annoyed than they thought they'd get, and Brandon is behaving in a way that they didn't think he would behave. Like, he's not reacting the way they thought he would react once we got a week or two into the month of August. In other words, we're going to see if we can trade you before the draft. We didn't like the deal. Okay, we're keeping you. We're not trading you. And I do think that was their hard stance. Every single person close to the team said it. There's no way they're trading him. That was their stance. Somewhere along the line, it changed. I don't know why. Whatever Brandon's hold in is, it has gotten under the skin of those in charge with the 49ers. And that surprises me. I would stick with what was the original plan. We are not trading you. And if you choose to sit out games, or if you choose to show up and get benched or fake an injury, or what I actually think he would do, he'd go play like Brandon Aiyuk can play.
Right.
Because that'd be the best thing for him. I don't know why that's not still the stance of the 49ers. You don't have to do anything here. And that's what I would do.
Unless he is causing such havoc in the building or he's causing such consternation that it's an untenable situation to even have him around. And I don't know about the CBA and the players union, like what you can and can't do. I'm pretty sure you can't just fine him for conduct unbecoming for just showing up to practice and not practicing.
I wouldn't think so, but I think you can probably send someone home. I feel like that's happened in pro sports before.
Yeah, I wonder if you could just flat out say you can't come to the facility.
It would be weird if Brandon was like, no, I'm
well, maybe he wants to come and work out and, be able to feel like he can train and be sharp for when he's ready to stop his hold in.
Probably work out, but don't come out on the field.
I'm sure that there's language in the contract that on what's allowed and what's not allowed, but it's clear to me that whatever's going on is both unexpected from the 49ers standpoint and so uncomfortable that they now feel like they can entertain these conversations in August.
Yeah. This does not feel like it has been well played at all.
No.
And I have not. So that's sort of where I arrived yesterday with and I'll use air quotes, news, because we don't I don't know if some of this we're ever going to know what was done behind the scenes, who said what was offered where. But the reports are very, very clear that the 49ers and Patriots agreed to a deal. The Patriots hit Brandon Aiyuk's asking price, and Brandon said no. And for me, that's when Brandon lost me. The Niners have been the ones who have misplayed this because it's still happening in August. But if Brandon was given what he asked for and said no, I don't understand why the 49ers would go, okay, we'll move to the next team. What?
Because they want him out.
But you're letting Brandon control you when you don't need to.
Well, they've already done that. When they allowed him to go out and seek a trade partner, that's when you gave up some of your control because you have him in a fifth-year option. All you would have had to do is say, if we can't get this extension done, we're going to expect you to play in your fifth-year option. That's our stance, and we're sticking to it. But they didn't stick to it. And he started the hold in, and for whatever reason, he got under somebody's skin. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, maybe other players. Who knows whose skin he's gotten under, but it's gotten to the point where they felt like they had to allow him to entertain these talks.
Yeah, although when you say, once they allowed him to negotiate with other teams, to me that's fine because it's all under the very clear idea that if you get a list of teams that will all meet your demands, they then need to meet ours before there's any deal. So, in other words, how did the Patriots and Browns even come to be? I would imagine is because of Brandon's agent. Brandon's agent went out and shopped for people who will hit Brandon's price and potentially be willing to talk to the 49ers about a trade package. I don't think the Niners went and found the Patriots. I would imagine Ryan Williams went and found the Patriots.
Well, then I wonder why he would have said no to the Patriots if Brandon had a list of teams that he would go to and they matched his price, then he would go to that team.
I don't know if he had a list that he would go to. We simply get the agent's job is go find who will hit this price. And then let's see. And then it's presented to Brandon. And then he says no? TJ Houshmandzadeh comes on with us all the time whenever there's Brandon stuff going on. We've just chosen not to bother him this week because, God's sakes, we could have him on every day. He's Brandon's personal coach and talks to him all the time. And this is the one that got me. This was all the way back in April, Dibs. All the way back in April. We asked him, what does he want? Listen to this.
I talked to B.A. He don't want to leave San Francisco. He just wants to get paid. Just very simple. He just wants to be rewarded for the work that he's put in.
Not true. You don't just want to get paid because the New England Patriots offered you exactly what you asked for. And then you said no. And for some reason, according to reports, the 49ers are allowing Brandon Aiyuk to be a free agent when he's not. And I'm confused. I don't get it. But again, I grant I'm not involved in the emotions of it. I don't know what Brandon's doing there at practice that's making everybody so upset.
Yeah, do we know that $29 million is his price? Maybe he wants 30. So if New England offered a reported 29, according to Josina, right?
North of 28.5, and there's a separate report. Mayoko said 30.
They offered him 30.
Everybody has said they met the asking price. New England met the number.
And I wonder where he would have gotten that report. Does that come from New England?
Who knows where reporters get their reports?
Well, you can usually smell it out.
Yeah.
You get a strong sense from some reporters that they're getting that from the 49ers brass, and then you get the sense that you're getting it from the Brandon Aiyuk side.
Agents.
It's
agents are the chatty Cathys usually.
Most of the time.
Chattiest.
Yes, but I think the team, when a team is going to portray a player as being an adult and, really ripping it up at camp, you're going to get that from the team, the front office, and that's going to, portray one player as maybe more ready to work than another player. That's probably not going to come from the agent.
This is all still fluid, right? So, I think this is the sandbox in which we play today. 888-957-9570. No matter what it sounds like, the bottom line is the Niners have the final call on anything. So what would you do? You're the Niners. What would you do?
Yeah, I wonder about fans, and we had a poll on YouTube earlier about, do you want Brandon Aiyuk back? Considering all the things that have gone on with these reports and him holding in and him not really feeling like he's that sold out to be a part of your team, have fans started to turn against Brandon Aiyuk, I wonder?
So, good question. We put that actually up on YouTube hours ago as a station, and 1,200 votes in, 64% say yes.
They still want him.
And put me in that camp.
Interesting, because I voted in that same camp. I jumped on the YouTube probably about 10:15.
Oh.
And there was about 500 votes in.
Look at you,
And it was
P1.
about, we had Coco Melon on, and I'd already finished up with bagel time, so I had a few minutes.
You actually had bagel time?
Yeah. When I
Bagel time?
I say, are you ready to eat? Bagel time. Bagel time. And
You know what? That doesn't change for 15 years.
She's into it.
Teenagers come out, it's the same damn thing they say every Dad, do we have bagels?
Totally.
Now I'm going to call it bagel time.
It was bagel time.
Anyway,
so
ahead.
I jumped on the YouTube, and it was about 75% of the fans, and this is about 500 votes in, but it was 75-25 in favor of keeping him. So it has gone down a little bit over the course of the day, which doesn't really surprise me considering the details and the reports that are starting to leak out.
Well, I mean, I look at it this way, I think, especially in football, but probably all sports. Football, it seems like this is where it happens the most. You know, the whole holdout thing and the non-guaranteed contracts, like, this is where we get this idea the most.
NBA players just force themselves out of cities.
No, NBA players just go, send me to Miami. It's the same, or LA. It's the same sentence no matter what. If you're not happy, send me there. You might get there. You might not. You might end up in Milwaukee. Anyway, point being, in the NFL, especially as fans, we kiss and make up real fast. Real fast. You're mad at Bosa? Boom. He signs. We're not mad at Bosa anymore. You're mad at Debo? Debo scrubbed the IG? Boom. We're not mad at it. If Brandon Aiyuk signed an extension at 3 o'clock, there's a fiesta in the making as we speak.
Yeah,
Boom.
but he's not signing an extension.
Of course he's not. But my point is, I don't think there are that many fans out there. 64% is, first of all, already the majority, but I think it would go way up in terms of like his Q rating, his favorability would go way up the second that this all went away. Like, there's a lot of negative emotion, understandably, around Brandon right now, but most 49er fans, they want things to go exactly as they were going. So get everybody back out on the field and let's be good.
Yeah, maybe not how they've been going lately with all the rest of it.
I mean, starting last year, like everybody wants the same people back. Let's play football. We think we got a shot to win.
This is a long way removed from last year, and a lot has happened. And you mentioned the Bosa and the Debo, and those were handled completely in different ways. And, you know, Debo got done, I think it was August 1st, might have been July 31st. That was done and dusted. And he was able to come into camp. And even though he was a little bit out of shape and he had a little bit of a slower start to his year, he at least was in and sold out to be a part of what's going on. And with Brandon Aiyuk, not only is he not in camp other than his body is there and his presence is there, but doesn't feel like he's sold out to be a 49er and doesn't feel like there's going to be resolution to this anytime soon. The soonest resolution to me would be he gets traded. And if he doesn't get traded, and if this thing continues to drag out, he's going to keep holding in. I don't think he's suddenly going to say, well, none of those trades worked out. I'm getting ready. I'm coming to camp. I think that part of it would drag on and on and on until he absolutely has to show up, which is week 1.
That has been his, I guess, behind-the-scenes statement, apparently. I think he has told teams, namely the 49ers at this point, but I mean, he's not practicing until there's a new deal. I believe that has been said by Ryan Williams to the 49ers. He will not practice until there's a new deal, which means that
he's not practicing.
Right. Well, and he, in theory, would show up available for week 1, and Kyle Shanahan would probably deactivate him, and the 49ers would pay $14.1 million for someone to probably not play very much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Although, that's still, if we're going to get this deep, if we're all going to get this mad at each other, Niners and Aiyuk, that's the card I would play, because Brandon, I very firmly believe there's a date that really messes with his money now, too. There's a date where he puts himself in a horrible spot. And the only reason I feel like the 49ers are potentially not playing this card is because they know how much pressure is on this year. And they do not want to play games on the side while they've got an actual game on the field. But if you played this out and went, okay, Brandon, let's go.
You don't practice and you don't play.
You don't practice, you don't play. And he says, and I get my 14.1.
Okay.
Great. And then we get to the end of the year, and what happens? How does the league view Brandon Aiyuk, who for 14.1 and turned
17 games, maybe 20 games.
And turned down the money that he was asking for because that team didn't have a QB and the weather's cold? How's the league viewing him then? You're a free
Probably
agent.
not as promisingly.
Probably not. He'd be lucky to get $20 million.
And at the same time, the Niners aren't going to then franchise tag a guy who just spent a year grousing and not playing.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
That sounds like a bad investment.
And it sounds to me like Brandon would be stepping on his own feet. So they don't want to play that game, but they could. That card is in the deck.